All righty, Angry Bears Fan Podcast, episode 28 now. We're about 3 days removed from the NFL draft. It was an eventful one. I also had a kid over the weekend, so it was super extremely eventful. Lucky for me, waited until Sunday so I could get through the draft. But for everybody tuning in, like, follow, subscribe, all that good jazz. And like I said, keep helping us grow our channel, please.
Absolutely. And I know I said congratulations once to you already, but I'm going to say it again. Congratulations. Very exciting. Yeah, this weekend was very eventful. A lot of stuff went down. We wanted to get an episode out sooner, but as Sean said, he had a baby, and we just couldn't really, our schedules just didn't coincide. He was really tired after his wife spent 36 hours of, in labor like a trooper. So congrats to them. But yeah, we'll get started on this draft, man. I mean, taking a look, for anybody who sat through the 3 hours and 45 minutes of that, I'm sorry. We tried to live stream it. We tried to make it a little bit more eventful, but there really just wasn't much going on. ESPN took a lot of time in between draft picks, and there was a lot of just nonsense. So I'm not really. It was kind of terrible.
I think some of the local channels are missing a beat, not doing their own presentations. Yeah, if I was Comcast Sportnet, I would do my own. So all the cutscene in between time is Bear stuff or Bull stuff, or
I don't know if they have contract rights for that.
I mean, you don't have to per se do the draft. Like, you can just sit there and live stream it, and then just say every pick like that. I know you don't need a contract to do that, but I don't know. I think the draft in itself is getting too eventful. I love it. It's my favorite time of the year. But like you said, it dragged for about 4.5 hours.
It was terrible.
So many different people come out making picks. Like, it's just too much. Like, the Chiefs want to come out and make a pick. Player from the whole city wants to come out and make a pick. Make a wish kid. Let's do it. But like, there's somebody for every team. 20 minutes between every pick. I just think they're making too much of a spectacle of it, and it's just, I don't think anybody enjoyed how long it was, the first round.
So let's go over a little bit of a recap. First round, pick number 10. Bears took Darnell Wright, offensive tackle. There was really no surprise there. We kind of expected it. They did trade back from 9 to 10 in order for Philadelphia to jump up and grab Jalen Carter, but they also got a 4th-round pick next year. Round 2, they took a couple of guys, Tyreek Stevenson, cornerback out of Miami, Gervin Dexter out of Florida, defensive tackle. Their only pick in round 3, which is the first pick in round 3, was Zach Pickens. Round 4, Roshan Johnson, running back out of Texas. That was Bijan Robinson's backup. And wide receiver Tyler Scott out of Cincinnati. Round 5, they picked up Noah Sewell, linebacker out of Oregon, and Terrell Smith, cornerback out of Minnesota. And then finishing it off from round 7 was Travis Bell, defensive tackle, the only player in Kennesaw State history to be drafted, and Kendall Williamson, defensive back, Stanford. So out of those picks, I'll just ask you, Sean, right off the bat, who was your favorite pick and why?
I guess my favorite pick would have been Darnell Wright. We've been going back and forth. This is basically all we've been talking about for 2 months. About a month before the draft, we were getting a lot of signals. If you watching or listening to the radio, following the Bears and what they talk about, it seemed pretty apparent they were going to take Darnell Wright. They were going to trade back and take Darnell Wright. I guess me personally, I wasn't aware. You kind of talked about it more than me. I wasn't aware of how many teams in the teens were going to take a tackle. So I was under the impression they were going to fall more back to like 14 or 15, 16, 17. Now, that's just what I thought. But I still like the pick. The kid's a stud. We needed a tackle. I just didn't want Jalen Carter. I mean, I kind of wanted him. Not in our locker room. He would have been like our star defensive player. You know what I mean? He would have been thrust into a leadership role when he was having a hard time leading his own life right now. So, and nothing against the kid. I wish him the best. I didn't like the trade, and I guess getting anything to fall back and still getting who you want is a win. I'm sure that's what Poles is looking at. Like he wanted Darnell Wright. They weren't picking Jalen Carter. He picked up a pick next year for him, so that's a win for him. And looking at it like that, it's a win. But outside of the Packers, and even honestly more so than the Packers, I hate the Eagles sometimes. And it's like I just really didn't want the Eagles to end up with Jalen Carter. So I think that's where it's like it was a punch that cut. It didn't matter. They were going to get him anyway, so we got a fourth. But God, I wish like the Titans would have traded up to our spot, took Jalen Carter, and then you know what I mean. Like I don't know. I don't think the Eagles would have took Darnell Wright. Um, so that would be my only qualm. But Darnell Wright was definitely my favorite pick of the draft, just because it was such a glaring need. He's young, he's a stud, and we're giving Justin Fields no excuses going into the season.
Yeah, I mean, I'd agree with the Darnell Wright assessment. But that wasn't my favorite pick. I think because of the expectation was there that we were going to pick him anyway. If I had to pick a single pick that sticks out for me in this class, for me it's Roschon Johnson. If you go back and you listen, I talked about Roschon Johnson about a month and a half ago as a prospect, and I was high on him. I had like a round 2 grade on him in terms of talent. He doesn't have the mileage on his body. He's coming into the league with fresh legs, and if you watch the tape on him, he has the potential to be a very, very good 3-down back in this league. He's excellent in pass pro. He's a north and south runner, so he's David Montgomery-esque, but he's got better hands. Like I said, he's got those fresh legs. I think
wiggle too.
Yeah, I think Roschon Johnson is going to be one of the steals of the draft that we talk about a couple years down the road. Because I think by mid-season to the end of the season, he's actually running back 1 for the Chicago Bears this year. Another pick I really liked in terms of value was Tyler Scott, wide receiver out of Cincinnati. Darnell Mooney clone, essentially, but the kid's got a burst. He plays.
I was gonna say it's a little more speed than Mooney. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing: Darnell Mooney ran a better 40 at the combine, but Tyler Scott's he plays faster than what his 40 says.
He gets out of his break really quick, so he just accelerates really fast.
He's a very quick guy. So I would say Roschon Johnson is my pick. I just really think he's gonna be a stud in this league. He's gonna be a stud for the Bears. We did the best pick. What did you think was the worst pick?
I mean, I'm sure both. This is going to be the Bears for everybody. Their worst pick, Gervon Dexter. I watched a little of his tape. I have to say, he's one of the few players I really didn't know anything about going to draft. He wasn't getting any traction. But again, I can admit these guys are smarter than me. They got, Poles has got 20 to 50 guys, I'd imagine, working underneath him, feeding him so they're seeing a lot of stuff I'm not seeing. The physicals look there. The production wasn't there. It's a different scheme, they say. They were telling him there, from what we're seeing, he wasn't getting the sacks because his job on the defense for Florida was to basically engage and then react, not really shoot any gaps or apply pressure, or try and split a double team. It was really to get to be blocked, or I don't know. It was just weird. I just don't get it there. In any mock I'd seen, it feel like he just could have got him later. Like, I don't think anyone was going to pick him there. There were some people there that I just think we could have took instead of Dexter that could have helped us. And it's hard. Like, so I am trusting Poles, but I would have to be critical with this pick in particular. It leaps out. To me, Pickens is a good pick, and I think Pickens is better than Dexter. Like, if he would have picked Pickens where he picked Dexter, I would have been like, okay. We needed him. He's shown production. It's like, I don't even know Dexter, but maybe he is good. Hopefully they'll coach him up. I don't know. Like I said, these guys know their scheme. They know who they want. They also talk to these guys. They saw him at the Senior Bowl. There's things I haven't seen. So, but I'm just saying, like, the value, what we knew what the board was and how we thought Poles was going to pick players, I just think we could have got Dexter, where we got Pickens or maybe where we got Roschon.
Yeah, I when you think about it, so just basing it off of Ryan Poles' history, Um, he likes his guys, like a lot of his draft picks were very highly recruited out of high school. They had a very high RAS score. I sent you that graphic via text
Yeah.
message the other day about all the draft picks RAS scores, and they were all, above 8, which
Yeah, I
is
was gonna say, yeah,
above
almost
average.
all of them were almost 9, I
Yes.
remember. I thought, yeah.
Yeah,
Which I know
and
9 is high.
Javon Dexter. So coming out of high school, he was either ahead of Jalen Carter or he was number 2 behind Jalen Carter. It was one of the two. So he was very, very highly recruited out of high school. He's got a ridiculous athlete score with the RAS, the relative athletic score is what they call it. I watched a little bit of tape on him as well, and he's going to be better suited as a 3 technique behind Andrew Billings. He's more of a run stuffer than he is anything else. Zach Pickens is going to be probably the 3 technique. He's very explosive. He's got really good hands.
I like him,
Um,
yeah.
but he absolutely, if you watch tape of the Senior Bowl practices, he absolutely wrecked John Michael Schmitz. Like wrecked him. Like
Okay.
it was
Maybe
pretty
that's why.
bad to watch. But that was one of the better picks. But Javon Dexter, I would agree, one of the worst picks. The one pick I really did not understand was and I understand, we're splitting hairs here. It was round 7. But the Kendall Williamson, defensive back out of Stanford, I didn't get that. Of course, it was towards the end of the draft. There really wasn't much. You did fill a need everywhere else, so it was kind of like, let's just take the best athlete available, with this pick. But even the Travis Bell pick, I understand a little bit more. Ryan Pohl seems to, he seemed to have a connection with him on a human level, not just a athlete level. Ryan Pohl said that he was one of his favorite human beings, not just one of his favorite players that he talked to, but just overall one of his favorite human beings. So that kind of stuck out a little
That
bit
probably
to
played
me.
a part. Well, I heard that Roshan Johnson was like an amazing locker room guy, like a great kid. Everybody loves him in the community type of guy. So maybe that did play a part. Maybe Dexter is like that. I don't know, but I got to be critical of one pick. I don't understand. I agree. I don't. I didn't understand the Williamson pick either, just because we didn't really need him. Again, I don't know. Maybe we talked to these guys. Maybe he's literally just picking best player available, and he was the best guy left. I don't know, but I just thought in the 7th round, I'm like, I think I don't know, I would have took a flyer on somebody, but I guess who was even there to take?
Yeah, that is true. I sent you another text message too. The NFL is considering extending the draft by a round or 2 or 3,
I think they should.
to
What did it used to be? 12 in the 80s,
something like that.
13. I think they should go to 10. I think that there's just a lot of kids now. They moved it down to 7 because like there wasn't enough kids. The small schools all sucked. Like, and even like the smaller programs, like your Rutgers and all them, like all those kids were garbage. It was like no reason to have uh, a draft for those guys. But I think now like you were saying, it is kind of weird with the undrafted free agents. This year not so much, but years past with some really good kids who didn't get drafted for whatever reason. But yeah, I think a couple more rounds might as well go to 10. Who cares? We do 3 more rounds. I think going to 10 would be fine, especially if they want to do this start on Thursday bullshit and make the first round 4 hours. I think they should make it more fan friendly. I feel like I remember when we were younger, it was just like all about the draft and the players and the teams. And I felt like there was so much stuff going on that had nothing to do with the draft or people coming up and giving their opinions and reading off the who got picked that was just had nothing to do with football. Like, I think they should do more of an interactive experience where like interviewing more of the fans, talking to the draft picks, things like that. You know what I mean? Showing us shots of the war rooms, you know what I mean? Maybe mute it or whatever you got to do, but blur it, and blur certain stuff out, but show us the war rooms, what they got going on in there. But I just thought it was kind of whack.
Yeah, I agree with that. It was really, we talked a little bit about Ryan Pace having a specific type. 100% of his picks had elite RAS scores. So elite is the 80% above that I was talking about. That was the most by far in this year's draft. Second place, I believe, was like 60% or something like that of their draft picks had elite RAS scores. Now There was Rod Marinelli, who is the defensive coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys right now. He is the grandfather, so to speak, of the 4-3 defense that Matt Eberflus runs. It's
Well, the D
kind of an
line, right?
extension. Yeah, it's
Rob
an
Milner
extension
is
of
like a
his
D line
system.
whisperer.
So what he was saying was some of the outliers that he looks for that would make a really good 1 and 3 technique in his defensive line is the broad jump and the 3 cone drill. And both Zach Pickens and Javon Dexter had ridiculous broad jump and 3 cone drill scores. So I think maybe that played a factor into it as well on what they were looking for when they were making those draft picks. I trust Rod Marinelli and his assessment of defensive line talent. So if he says that, his outlier, his predictor, one of his main predictors is that broad jump as well as the 3 cone exercise, I am going to take him at his word.
I mean, I'm gonna look. I mean, I like how big Dexter is, and I really like Pickens. I think Pickens will, for the value of where we picked him, will be by far the best draft pick we have. I think he will be a starter all year. I think he will be. He'll make many plays, and he, you know what I mean. He'll be, you know what I mean. We'll be praising him and what him taking the next step next year. Like I said, the Dexter pick, I don't know much about him. I don't watch a lot of Florida football. Some of these SEC kids, you don't really need to watch the tape because they get gassed up big time, and he just wasn't getting any traction at all. But like I said, I saw the RAS score. I see how big he was. I saw the skills, so hopefully he can transition. I just thought the value was there. Is there anybody that you really wanted them to pick that they could have that they didn't?
There was a couple. I really wanted them to pick John Michael Schmitz. He went in the 3rd round, bro.
No, he didn't. He went 57. I'm looking at it right now.
Did he? Oh, okay.
They
could have picked him
right after our second pick. Yeah, they picked him right after Stevenson. Looks like, or we traded. Yeah, we traded up in front of them, right? Because we were 50. Yeah, we traded up in front of the Giants to take him, and then they took.
I really wanted them to take John Michael Schmitz. He was available there. I can't believe Darnell Washington fell as much as he did. That would have been a player that I would have liked to have had just because, you
high
can
potential.
you can fine tune him into something. Overall, though, man, there wasn't all the edges that I wanted just weren't available for the value where the Bears were picking. So I wasn't really too upset, I guess you could say, about that. But Darnell Washington was a surprise for me. I know he didn't really fit a need. But at the same time, if you're looking at best available player in terms of athletes, Darnell Washington is a monster of a man, and he's a freak athlete, and that just kind of it fits the Bears mold of what they were looking for. So I'm kind of surprised they didn't go there. Like I said, John Michael Schmitz, I really thought they were going to take an interior offensive lineman at some point because even Olawatimi went in the 4th round. So there was value there if they would have picked him in the 4th round. But of course, I like their 4th round picks. I probably would not have traded Olawatimi for either Roschon Johnson or Tyler Scott.
I wouldn't see him. No, probably not.
So, but yeah, I would probably say my biggest, probably Darnell Washington because he went in the 3rd round. That was probably the one guy I wanted them to. Yeah, that was the one guy I wanted them to grab that was still there that they could have taken. If they would have taken him instead of Javon Dexter, I would have been perfectly okay with that.
For me, I would have to say DJ Turner. Obviously, I'm biased. I'm wearing my Michigan hat right now. But I just thought he's better than Stevenson. I just thought he's more versatile. Stevenson's a little more physical. But I just think DJ Turner is a better corner. He's faster. He's not as big, but I think I just thought DJ Turner was better than him. John Michael Schmitz as well. If we're talking about Dexter instead of Dexter, I would have liked Schmitz. And then obviously Olawatimi. I had a feeling we didn't want Darrell Washington for whatever reason. I think a lot of teams are down on him. They see the measurables, but I'm assuming something's wrong. Like, didn't Bowers just join the team and take his spot? I mean, I know he's amazing. I'm not saying Bowers isn't good, but he's shorter, slower. And you know what I mean? And he joined the team as an underclassman and took your spot, basically made you go to the draft because you weren't getting any playing time. So that is a cause of concern to me. Because in my head, older guy, talented as hell. If he plays as the starter on Georgia all year and gets those starter tight end stats, he's a first round pick. But he got beat out by some kid who was younger than him. Maybe he's better. I don't know. But he's slower, he's shorter, he's younger than you, probably weaker than you. You got to beat him out, and that would be a cause concern for me that you get beat out by a kid like that. And I don't think it's the Roshan. It's not the Roshan Johnson thing where Bijan's just a fucking freak. It's like you can't beat him. But I think Washington had a good year before Bowers played with them, so it's like I don't know. There was things people say, and also for Dewan Johnson or Jones, sorry, from Ohio State, he fell all the way to the fourth round.
Yeah, but see, so I've read up on a couple of things on that.
Me too.
Yeah, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, go ahead.
So the Dewan Jones thing, I guess a lot of teams got turned off by him saying that he wants to play in the NBA. That's his dream, blah, 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 blah. So they were thinking maybe he wasn't going to be fully committed to playing football. But at 6'9", 70 pounds, 79 pounds or whatever, good fucking luck, dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're pretty much stuck playing tackle.
If he was going to be in the NBA, he would have started on Ohio State. Like, he didn't even start there.
It's not just that, is that he's the third heaviest offensive line prospect since the year 2000. You know, there's only been a couple of guys that were heavier than him, and yeah, he's athletic for his size, but that turns a lot of teams off too. His frame, he's
tall too. 6'9" is like 6'9". One of the tallest tackles too. So I would have to equate that. The basketball thing, the weight thing, I will say, fine. You want to be concerned about that. The basketball thing, I think, is kind of whack. Like,
I think so too.
He was being honest. He could have lied and gave you some bullshit interview answer. No, football's my life, and I'll do anything. You know what I mean? Like that. All the other kids are giving, and I think it's pretty genuine to say, you know what? I love football, but I really wish I could have played basketball. But hey, that shows me that he's smart. That he knew, like, even as much as he loved basketball, and he's 6'9", he could go play. He could have played at Ohio State and played basketball, I'd imagine, if he wanted to. But he was like, you know what? I got a better chance of making it to the NFL than the NBA, so I'm going to do that. But he was honest when you're asking him questions at the pro day or wherever you were asking him, and he said that. So I thought that was kind of whack that they were using that against him. The weight thing I could see, because I don't agree with the initial weight. He's one of the big. They say like, oh, he's one of the heaviest guys. He's also one of the tallest guys to play too, to go drafted. And he wouldn't weigh in at his pro day. They said, he went the draft, but he would not weigh in again at the pro day, which would make me think like, everybody wants to see your weight. This is the Jalen Carter thing all over again. We're at a problem. Okay, fine, you're out of shape. You know what I mean? For the combine. When your pro day runs around, you better be ready to go. You knew you had 2 weeks, you know what I mean? The first time your party and season's over, you're finally adult, you're free. I'll give you one pass. But your pro day, when everybody's coming, it's one thing to drop some passes, or you know what I mean, to not do the drills perfectly, but to not be ready and to not be in shape, that is concerning. So some of these kids, like, what are you guys thinking? Like, got to be good for 3 more months. 3 more months, you're gonna be a millionaire. Like, and little stuff is costing these guys hundreds of thousands of dollars. Dewan Jones, at certain points, was a projected first-round draft pick. Like, you know what I mean? Definitely getting taken in the second. So, you know what I mean? Getting drafted in the fourth, like, what does that cost him? $1 million?
Probably more than that.
Like, these guys, like, what are you thinking? Like, and it's like, you were good this whole time. Like, you picked right before you're about to be drafted to be a freaking knucklehead. Like, oh, but yeah, he fell. I, again, would have took a flyer on him because the red flags for him, like I said, weren't too much for me. The basketball thing is a non-thing. I like that about him. Like, when I saw him do that 360 dunk, I was like, holy shit. But the weight thing is weird. Like, why don't you want to get weight? Like, it's one thing for them, like, fine, oh, you're too fat. I'm like, okay, I'll lose 15 pounds. See you at the pro day. Lose the 15 pounds, and then they show up and you tell them to suck it. You know what I mean? Like, but to them, to me, that makes you seem like he was like, I don't care. Fuck those guys. I'm not going to do anything. And that's just a shitty mentality to have.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I will disagree with you on the DJ Turner, Tyreek Stevenson thing. DJ Turner, I feel like if they were going to pick him, he probably would have better fitted nickel slot.
Yeah,
Um, but
yeah,
Tyreek, they needed a corner outside because Kyler Gordon's just not it. He's much better suited to play a slot nickel, and they needed a corner to play outside opposite Jalen Johnson. And I think Tyreek, like you said, the physicality, the press man,
yeah.
he's a much better press man player than he is a zone player.
Yeah.
He's not a very good zone defender.
Well, I mean, I think DJ Turner's good. I mean, Michigan plays Premier League press man. I do agree Tyreek is bigger. I think DJ can play on the outside. I just think he's just a better corner. Like, I think there are, but you're right. And maybe in our scheme, he fits a little bit better. I think DJ can play inside or outside. I think DJ, like you said, is just better suited to play on the inside. I think he's better there, but he'll be fine. But again, I don't really hate that pick. Again, I'm biased. I like DJ Turner. I've been wanting to get him, and I think he'll be better than Stevenson throughout his career. But I'm also fine with him. I like Stevenson. He looks like he's got a high motor. He's a little longer than DJ Turner. He's definitely a better tackler. So we'll see how it goes. Again, none of the picks I was really down on except for Dexter. I'll be watching him heavy in the preseason. I'll really have my on him. I really like the Noah Sewell pick. I like Legacy. He plays inside, outside. He'll probably be good on special teams.
Well, there was talk about possibly, lining him up at edge, at defensive end.
Yeah, he was kind of like I know we harped on him a little bit, but like kind of like a Shane McClellan who played like everything. He's their middle linebacker, but in pass rushing situations, sometimes he'll rush.
There's a big difference though between taking Shea McClellan in the first round and Noah Sewell in the fifth.
Yeah. But I like Sewell. I think he'll be good. I think he'll make plays, and one of your linebackers is bound to get hurt, miss a couple games, and it'll be nice to have him to just jump in. I think he'll be fine.
Are you concerned he's going to take Jack Sanborn's spot?
No, I don't think so. I think Jack Sanborn was really good. I would be shocked if Noah Sewell, like Jack Sanborn would have had, like, if he started the whole year, he would have led the league of tackles by a lot. So I'm not worried about that. I'd be more worried if like I traded for Isaiah Simmons or somebody and hey, they losing him in his spot. That would be my concern. I think Jack and TJ Edwards got chemistry. Like, aren't they both from the area and they played in college together? I don't know if Sanborn's from Illinois. I know TJ Edwards is. I know they both played at Wisconsin on the team together.
Well, one thing too, to kind of just, but like you said, it's a lot of notoriety. It's a lot of just banding together and creating that culture. But at the same time, I mean, it's just more talent and more depth in every position now after this draft, and that's exactly what we needed.
Yeah, there were no edges. I guess that would have been the only hole we haven't filled to this day. We still haven't signed either Yannick.
I was gonna. My next question was: are you surprised by that still?
No, I don't know if I'm surprised. I'm sure he's just playing the waiting game. I'm sure all those guys also are kind of like waiting to see if like the Chiefs want somebody or the Bills want them, and then eventually they'll. So I don't know. I'm sure it's a little bit of. I'm sure the Bears aren't trying to pay up either, but I think the Floyds, the Clarks, Yannick are all probably seeing like, hey, maybe the Eagles, or not the Eagles, obviously they don't need another fucking defensive lineman, but that maybe one of the contenders might need him, thinking the Bears aren't a contender. Because at this point, any of those guys joining our team, they're going to be situational pass rushers. And do you really want to go make average money to be a situational pass rusher on a team that's fighting, clawing, and scratching for the last wild card spot?
Yeah.
But I've also been harping Chase Young for the last, I don't know, ever since the season ended. They declined his option. Isaiah Simmons' option got declined. With Quentin Williams, they don't want to. Do they not want to? Did they pick up his option? They don't want to re-sign something. He's got shit going on. I don't know. I think they picked up his option, but they don't want to re-sign him or something like that.
Well, that's my thing too. Is were you kind of surprised that with all the names that were out there that were supposedly on the trading block and getting traded, we didn't really have a trade during the draft besides the whole DeAndre Swift to Philly from Detroit. Are you surprised that there were no bigger name trades going on in that draft?
Yeah, I really thought D Hop was going to get moved, like for sure by the time the draft, like during the draft at some point. And now they're like, oh, D Hop's staying. It's like, why? They don't got no quarterback. Y'all finna tank. He's, you know what I mean, a Hall of Fame, borderline Hall of Fame receiver. Um, so that was odd. Again, the Chase Young thing. Even before this came out, I've been saying I've always seen they're going to be parting ways soon. So I thought they would move on some of these guys. Maybe nobody people really want fell to put them in the position to trade up for, I don't know. But I do think D Hop will get traded. I think it's a lot of smoke and mirrors, but it doesn't fit D Hop being who's going to be their quarterback. Like
I don't even know who the backup is in Arizona.
I think it's Stretford or Stetford. I forgot. It's some weird like ST. I forgot how to pronounce it.
Oh,
I think.
Yeah, I think they'll address. They'll get somebody.
They're going to get one of them. Yeah,
on a 1 or 2 year deal. In terms of the free agents, I think they'll wait on the Chase Young thing. Why give up draft capital for him when you can get him next year without giving up anything? You'll probably have to. I mean, you're still going to have to pay him either way. So that's probably what they're thinking because he probably most likely will not sign back with Washington. But the only the only risk you're running if you're Chicago is if you wait until next offseason to sign him, you're probably going to be, if he has a good year, you're probably going to be paying him more than you would have if you extended him after you traded for him.
Yeah,
but they do have a lot of money to spend next year. And I just really think they wait until next year to really make a big splash in that, in that defensive end edge market. Ryan Poles did say that, he told us from day one, you can't fix everything at once. It's probably not, everything's not going to get fixed this year. It's probably, you know what I'm saying? So they might have like a little Band-Aid player or something like that they can use for the time being. But I think it really gets tackled and addressed next year, whether it be Chase Young on free agency, whether it be somebody in the draft. But overall, for you, taking everything into account, free agency, contracts, draft, what's your offseason grade for the Bears so far?
I'd say a B. I kind of like some of the moves. I don't hate them. Like I said, I really wanted to edge. I know there wasn't really too many to go out there to get. They didn't really swing and miss on any yet. I know their philosophy is they're trying to build the right way, so they don't want to give up any of the capital in the trade. But I just think there are guys out there. The Chase Young thing in my head, I'm thinking you trade for him. Then if he does do good and he wants to be a free agent, he's stuck on your team anyway. You just tag him. And then you can tag him again, like, because he's yours. So that's what I would be. That's in my head. That's what I'm thinking. Like, if we wait till next year, then, you know what I mean? He's not going to get – if he has a good year, Washington's going to tag him. He ain't never going to be no free agent. So, you know what I mean?
I don't know if Washington's going to have the money.
They'll make the money. If you have a DN, then they'll trade him if they have to, but they're going to tag him and then do that. Like, or you know what I mean? Or re-sign. They'll do something in that form or fashion. But they'll be in control of his contract. You want to be in control of his destiny, basically. So that's what I'd be thinking. And again, he's just got high potential. Let's say he comes in and, you know what I mean, he gets 2 sacks in the first 5 games. You see a little bit of something. You might be able to get him, sign him on discount. That's where I'm more so thinking because I don't want to have to really good DNs don't become free agents. Like, so no matter what we do, we're going to have to trade for somebody's DN or draft one. And even if we drafted one, unless he's Michael Parsons, he's not coming in and going to really be, you know what I mean, a force in the league until year 2, 3, 4. So I don't want to wait 5 years for a good pass rusher. I want one. It don't got to be this year, but next year, like, and I don't think that's why I was hoping we kind of drafted somebody, but there was just nobody fell to us. There was nobody to go get, which was kind of disheartening.
With all things taken into consideration, I went B+ on my offseason grade, just because I really feel like you're going to have 7 I think 7 of their 10 picks are going to be year 1 impactful players, not so much to the point where they're going to be Pro Bowlers, but I think that they are going to contribute and be very heavy contributors And the Bears led the league in rookie snaps last year by over 1,000 snaps. I think that trend continues. Like I said, I really think that, 7 of these kids that they drafted this year are going to be very heavy contributors in this league.
With the
Roshan
first 7?
Johnson. Yeah, probably.
Yeah, Pickens and Dexter are going to get a lot of snaps. Obviously, Darnell Wright's going to play every snap he can if he's healthy. I think Stevenson's going to get a lot of snaps.
I think Stevenson starts.
And what, Gordon comes off the bench?
No, Gordon's going to play slot, nickel.
So what? Then Sanborn will be our odd man out? Because if we got 3 corners, that means we'll only have 2 linebackers. It depends how much what in our base formation. What's that 4-3? I think it'll you. So you said Gordon.
I still think it's Tyreek. I still think it's Tyreek Stevenson.
Probably. We'll see we'll get to see him soon. I think Gordon isn't the best on the outside. He got picked on a little bit, but he still wasn't that bad.
No, he wasn't horrible. I just think
pass anyway. So it's like, but yeah, I do. Looking at our team, Sanborn probably is going to be the odd man out, that sucks for him. Looking at maybe TJ Edwards, depending on how hard Sanborn's playing. But Edmonds will be out there every play.
Oh yeah.
I agree with you, Roshan Johnson. Roshan Johnson, I guess he'll have an impact. I'm sure he'll get like a bulk of the carry. You know what I mean? A third of the carries, maybe like a fourth, because Justin Fields, they can say whatever they want, but there's no way. Like Justin Fields just ran for 1,000 yards. They're not just gonna put that in a box and lock it away and never use it again. Like he ain't gonna go.
He can also return kicks.
Yeah. Oh, you think he'll return? I figured that's just Velus Jones' job now, because Tyler Scott's a better wide receiver than him right now, like off the tape I saw. So he ain't.
I think Velus is gone, dude.
Think he's cut?
I think so.
I mean, looking at it now, yeah, because what are they going to have? 8 wide receivers? Because St. Brown ain't getting cut. Pettis ain't going to get cut. They just signed him.
Yeah. To return funds.
Yeah, why would you even re-sign him to cut him? So I guess you're right. Velus is probably going to be odd man out, because we got Mooney, Claypool, Moore, Scott now, St. Brown, Pettis, and then Velus. Yeah. That's 7. They might keep 7.
You think they'll keep 7?
I guess they'll probably be on the practice squad. Somebody might take them.
Yeah, it's gonna be
they
tough.
They usually keep 6 or 7. How many? I mean, that's how many we had last year, didn't we? We had all those same guys except for Harry. Or we had. Is he still on the team? I don't know.
No.
Okay, I don't.
I think he plays for Philly now.
Okay, he wasn't that bad. I think he just keeps getting.
So. I mean,
I thought it was okay. I thought our team was just weird, where like I couldn't really get a good grade on some of the wide receivers because teams were just man pressing us and blitzing everybody. So fucking Justin Fields had 1 second to throw.
So let me ask you this then: what is your biggest? I would say boldest. I would say, what's your boldest rookie take this upcoming year?
Our rookies?
Yes. Your boldest prediction.
Like I said earlier, I think Pickens is going to be a stud. I really, really like that pick. I didn't really hear any of the Senior Bowl stuff of him kicking ass, but I've seen a lot of him play. He was really highly rated before the season started as well. He was like projected to be a first-round draft pick possibly on the D-line. And I just think he's got it, and I think he's going to be really, really good and like borderline Pro Bowl type player. And in years to come, he will be in Pro Bowl.
Yeah. So I have. Well, you already heard me say that I think Roshan Johnson's going to be running back 1 by the end of the year.
Yeah.
But my boldest prediction is that Darnell Wright is a all-rookie Pro Bowl tackle. I think he makes the Pro Bowl first year, and I don't even think it's close. I think he is going to be an absolute monster, both in the run game and the pass game. His pass pro form is just so good. Yeah, and I don't know, man. I just have a really good feeling about Darnell Wright. I'm not saying he's going to, become Tristan Wirfs overnight. Tristan Wirfs is definitely the best right tackle in football, but Darnell Wright has the potential to get there at some point. I do think he makes a Pro Bowl his first year. So that's going to be my boldest prediction.
I really like Darnell Wright because although Braxton Jones did have his problems anchoring the left side, a lot of the pressure was coming from the right tackle. Our right tackles were getting abused all year. Like I said, Braxton Jones, I think, had bad games at left tackle, not bad season. Like the last game of the season it wasn't the last game. When we played the Lions, James Houston shit on him and got 3 sacks, which is fucking him up the whole game. I didn't like that. But like that was like a half his sacks in one. It was like in the first half of the fucking Lions game. Um, but yes, I think Darnold Wright is going to be awesome. I think Worth, you brought up Worth. I don't think he's him because Worth's also just a massive man. I mean, Darnold Wright's not a small guy, but Worth's bigger than him. Um, and he's a stud, but I do think he has the potential to be something like that in 2 years. We're talking about like this kid's one of the best linemen in the league. I really do think he has the potential. I think he's better than Paris Johnson Jr. I think Paris Johnson Jr. is a really good left tackle, but I don't think he's got the nastiness like Darnold Wright does. And I agree with that take that Darnold Wright is going to be really, really good. And like I said when we started this, that was my favorite pick because I do see that in that kid, barring injury, that he's going to be a killer.
So with that being said, everything that Ryan Poles has done in the offseason, and the draft and everything, getting DJ Moore, is Justin Fields out of excuses now?
Oh, I guess I have to say 100%. I mean, there will be. I'll probably make some for him. But at the end of the year, if his stats are looking right, he's going to have a good year. I mean, unless multiple people get hurt, it's going to be on him. He'll have his coordinator one more season. And I'm not a big. I usually don't blame coaching because I was a player, and yes, sometimes there's enough coaches, but at the end of the day, players go out there and play. And the quarterback more so than anybody. Here's Justin Fields. He can call whatever fucking play he wants. So if the OC calls a bad play, it's your job to pick a better one. You know what I mean? Or one that you're going to make a good decision. So I hope, like I said, no excuses for Justin next year. We got the receivers. We got the O-line.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. We have one of the better wide receiver rooms in, the NFC, especially now, adding Tyler Scott to that mix. Getting DJ Moore was a big help. And we picked up we picked up Darnell Wright. We got Nate Davis. We kind of helped him out on the offensive line. We drafted Roschon Johnson, who's a really good pass pro blocker out of the backfield. He's got weapons, Cole Kmet, Robert Tonyan, Chase Claypool, Darnell Mooney, Tyler Scott.
Yes, dude, and I expect everybody to and we leave this out, and a lot of people leave this out, but I expect all those young guys to take another step. These guys are 30-year-olds who've reached their peak, and we know who they are. I expect these guys to be in the offseason putting in work and building on what they did poorly and taking the next step. So that's why I'm looking at the roster. I'm thinking Claypool's going to be better. Mooney's going to be better. Braxton Jones is going to be better. I think that's why he was comfortable not picking another lineman. I just think, or a left tackle. I think that's why they really went with Darnell instead of trying to make a move for Paris Johnson. I think they're like, you know what, Braxton's good. He was was he a Pro Bowler? Right? I'm pretty sure it was the Pro Bowl or
no,
close to it. He was close. If he takes another step, we'll be good. I think Cody Whitehair was a good center. I think he wasn't that good at guard for whatever reason. I think center's harder than guard, but I thought when he initially joined our team and he was playing center, I liked him. When him and James Daniel, when he was at center, James Daniel was at guard. I think he played fine. And so I think a lot of these guys will be taking another step, Justin Fields included. And that's, you know what I mean? That's where having a young team, all those rookies getting all those snaps coming to play too. Not only are we getting young guys, but our young guys should be getting better. I'm expecting all those guys to do better than they did. Even if they did good, then you're going to do better than that.
Well, I do know that Braxton Jones has been in the weight room. He's added about 20 pounds, and he's gotten a lot stronger. That was one of the things that was a knock on him last year was, he needed to put on a little bit more muscle. He needed to get stronger. And like I said, he put on 20 pounds. He's been, lifting and working out every single day. He's really dedicated himself to his craft. And that's something that you really like to see, especially since you said with these young guys taking that next step forward, even with the defense. A lot of people forget this. Eddie Jackson was the best safety, if not the second best safety in football before he got hurt last year. He was playing at that elite level again. And that was with a porous offense or defensive line in front of him. And absolutely no linebackers as well. So
Eddie's great.
imagine this
It just
secondary with a little bit better.
yeah.
Yeah, just imagine the secondary with a better defensive line and a better linebacker core in front of them. I mean, they should improve drastically. We'll move on if you'd like to a little factor cap. It kind of goes off what we just talked about with the Justin Fields and the excuses thing. You ready for it?
Sure.
All right. So now that the new season is a few months away, with a much improved roster on both sides, there are no more excuses for Justin Fields or Matt Eberflus to improve dramatically. So I'll ask Factor Cap. This upcoming season, there's more pressure to perform than Justin Fields than there is on Coach Eberflus.
I would say yes, but I guess it's kind of tied into it. Like Eberflus is fucked if Justin Fields doesn't play good. So I would say facts. I think there is more pressure on Justin, but I think all the pressure's on Justin because everybody's job's in his hands. If he doesn't play well, then everybody's getting fired.
I think Poles' job's is safe because that's not his quarterback.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, that's what I meant. I meant Poles. You're right. I didn't mean Poles, but I'm saying the whole coaching staff's out of there. And possibly Justin Fields if we have a top 10 draft pick.
Or two top 10 draft picks.
Yeah. I mean, if we're the top 5 and Justin Fields didn't throw for 4,000 yards, he's in jeopardy. Or very close to throw for 3,800 and rush for 600.
Yeah, he's got to – the pressure's on. I think Eberflus is tied to Poles for a couple of years. I think if Justin fails, but the defense plays at a better level, but Justin just fails, then I think Justin has gone more so than Coach Eberflus is. But Justin now, he's like we were just talking about, he's out of excuses. We'll see how the offensive line gels together. You have a wide receiver 1 who has went for over 1,000 yards with plumbers and fucking, construction workers as their quarterback, and DJ Moore. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no excuse. If DJ Moore doesn't have over 1,000 yards with a guy of your talent throwing him the football, then there's an issue. So I'm going to say definitely the pressure is on Justin more so than anything. Number 2, the NFL draft is done and over with. Media has given the Bears anywhere from a C+ to an A grade at the draft. So I'll ask Factor Cap. The Bears had the best draft of the NFC North.
I would say fact. I like their draft more than anybody else's. I think the Lions in their head had the best one. They reached on a lot of people, but hey, maybe they're drafting. Again, these guys are drafting for their team, their needs. But I would say fact. I think the Bears in the NFC North had the best draft. I mean, the Vikings didn't really do shit. The Packers just did what they did. They picked up a stable of good quality players. Nobody that left off the screen to me, though.
I think it's really close between the Bears and the Lions. I know we harped and just egged on Detroit for their first round picks, picking up Jahmyr Gibbs and Jack Campbell. But what they did in rounds 2 and 3, getting Sam Laporta, getting Brian Branch, who was an all-around consensus top 20 player in round 2 at 45th overall, is ridiculous. And I think they got a really sneaky good pick in round 3 when they got Hendon Hooker. He can sit behind Jared Goff for a couple of years because they're talking about extending Goff, and he can learn.
Isn't he older than Goff? What is he, 25?
He's 25.
Yeah, he's 25. What's Goff, 26?
Yeah, 26 or 27.
Yeah, I was going to say Goff isn't much older than him.
But realistically, when you look at as a cumulative draft, Detroit didn't do too bad for themselves.
No, I
I
think
was
they
really
do.
high on Jameer. I was really high on Jameer Gibbs. Jack Campbell, I think, is the best off-ball linebacker in the draft. He's just, he's your typical Big Ten middle
Oh,
linebacker. You know what I'm saying? And I think he's gonna
yeah.
be really good for him.
Important
They
with
picked up his Iowa. They picked up his Iowa teammate Sam Laporta. There was a lot of people that thought Laporta was tight end two behind the kid that uh, Buffalo ended up picking, Dalton Kincaid. A
yeah,
lot of people thought he was tight end two behind Dalton Kincaid. And like I said, with Brian Branch being a top 20 prospect, they got him at 45th overall.
yeah, that was
Um,
interesting.
yeah, so I mean, kudos to Detroit for that. Like I said, I think it's going to be, Bears and Detroit really hammering it out for the next few years. I think Minnesota's on the decline, Green Bay's on the decline, and the two bottom teams of the NFC North are going to start rising to the cream of the crop a little bit, and it should be interesting to see that rivalry go. I had both of them at B pluses when I did my draft grades, so it was kind of really hard for me to pick one or the other. I think the Bears will have more impactful players. Like I think Darnell Wright is going to make a Pro Bowl his rookie year. I don't think anybody, maybe besides Jack Campbell, really has an opportunity to be on the Pro Bowl. But if Tyler Scott ends up, say one of the wide receivers get hurt, and Tyler Scott turns out to be the next, better Darnell Mooney and has a Darnell Mooney-esque season where he gets 1,100 yards somehow, I just think there's more impact players on the Bears that they drafted. But overall, talent wise, it's kind of even. I mean, like I said, getting Hendon Hooker in the third round when a lot of people thought he was going to go in the first, at the top of the first or low second, was really good. Same thing with Brian Branch. I even like their tackle that they picked up, Broderick Martin. He was, he's a pretty decent one. They got him in the third round, but both teams very exciting futures for sure. Number three, Tyler Scott and Roshan Johnson were both selected in the fourth round this year, respectively, with GM Ryan Poles saying he could not believe that they were both there with those picks. So I'll ask Factor Cat, both Scott and Johnson will be major contributors this season.
I guess I'll say fact. I guess I would guess how you interpret a major, but I do think that Tyler Scott will have 3 to 5 touchdowns and some big ones. And I do think at some point Roshan Johnson will start a handful of games and get the bulk of the carries. I don't know which one, won't be all year. I mean, we're going to have a committee, but Foreman will get hurt for 2 games. Herbert will be hurt a game or something, and he'll get his time to step in and shine. And I think Roshan is also going to make an impact on defense or on special teams.
Yeah, I just like I said, I've been big on the whole Johnson thing ever since they made that pick. I was really excited for him. Tyler Scott, a lot of people were surprised he was there in the fourth round still. So he's a pretty good catch and run guy, run after the catch. Picks up a lot of rack yards, man. I know the defenses are a little bit faster in the NFL than they are in college, but I like that pick. I think they'll both do okay. I think they'll depending on, I mean, like you said too, because Chase Claypool got hurt last year, Darnell Mooney got hurt last year. Maybe he climbs up the depth chart at some point and he does become a major contributor. So we'll see what happens with that. So reports have been made that some similarities between current Bears players on the rosters and the draft picks from this year. For example, people were comparing Tyler Scott to Darnell Mooney and Tyreek Stevenson to Jalen Johnson, etc., which has raised some questions. So I'll ask Factor Cap. The Bears drafted these guys with intentions of making them their replacements if they walk at the end of the year.
Probably. I'll say facts. That I'm assuming. I've been talking about all year. I just think Mooney's out. He's gone. Just because of what he probably could get at another team. Poles doesn't look like the type who's going to be paying high value for a 2 or 3 wide receiver. And I don't know. Jalen Johnson, I do think will resign just because he's a corner. I don't think he's going to want anything crazy. So I do think we'll end up signing him. But I'm assuming he drafted these guys to let them know, like, hey, if this guy does good, then see you, buddy. Like, I'll draft another one.
Yeah, I'm gonna say fact on it. I if we're talking about just comparative wise, if there was one wide receiver out of the Chase Claypool or Darnell Mooney, if they both have similar seasons, if we had to sign one, I would still take Chase Claypool over Darnell Mooney because of just his sheer size, speed, and just his ability in general. And you have Tyler Scott anyway that now that you just
And
drafted,
DJ
that's pretty
Moore.
much a Darnell, yeah, that's pretty much a Darnell Mooney clone. Um, so I'm gonna say definitely big facts on that. Ryan Poles seems to be playing 3D chess. He seems like he's thinking ahead 2 or 3 years, what's going to happen down the road when he's making these draft picks and when he's making these free agent signings. So I'm going to say fact on that. Final one, and this one's going to be a fun one for us. Jordan Love signed a 1-year contract extension with Green Bay. That's in lieu of his 5th-year option, which would have been 20 million guaranteed. They kind of met in the middle. He's going to be getting $13.5 million guaranteed. It's could be worth up to $22.5 million. This is the first of its kind in terms of a contract of a player signing a contract extension instead of the team picking up a 5th-year option on a player. But I'll ask Factor Cap. Green Bay fans will not now experience what Bears fans have over the last 40 years by not having a top quarterback.
I will say cap. I think Jordan Love will be mid. I don't think he'll be as bad as Kyle Orton or fucking Mike Lennon.
Hey, we went to this. We went to a Super Bowl because of Kyle Orton. All
He
right.
had one good year, and we had one of the best defense in history.
Even
Not only
Jim
not
Miller.
only were they the best defense in the league, they were like a top 10 defense in history. So
Even Jim Miller went 13-3 back in like
yeah,
2003 or some shit like that.
yeah, yeah. That's what I'm saying. I think they'll be fine because they draft well, they have a good organization, and I don't think they're gonna have anybody as bad as like untalented as Jim Miller. I won't say bad. I'm just like Jim Miller's a nice guy. I see him, he's on Comcast all the time. He's awesome, but I don't think they're gonna. I'm like I always say, I don't like the Packers, but they are run well. They're never missing out on what they need for too long.
I think I agree. I agree. I think he'll be mid. I mean,
let's say Love stinks. They're gonna have then what? They have a top 10 draft pick. They'll move up and get somebody, and also
they
I
got
think
two first rounders.
yeah, like they'll be fine. Like they just move up and get someone, or they trade for Kyler Murray or whoever the fuck is on the block next year. Like I don't know who that'll be. Like it'll be some quarterback who's Trey Lance or fucking Kirk Cousins will probably be done in Minnesota. You get him for a couple years, and then you do what they always do: draft somebody and build them up. So I'm not worried about the Packers being. I hope we kick their ass this year because they're down, but I have no doubt that they're going to get their shit together. The Green Bay fans aren't like us. They're not used to mediocrity or shittiness, so they're not going to put up with it like we will. We just take it.
Yeah, I think he'll be okay. Obviously not Hall of Fame level like Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers before him, but Green Bay's going to struggle for a while. They need a wide receiver too. They have two really good running backs, that can do everything. I don't think Christian Watson's ready to be a number one wide receiver. I know a lot of talk about his rookie year, but people got to remember that he also had one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time throwing him the football.
And calling the plays and making the checks and the adjustments,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So, and like check, you know what I mean? Bad cadences, looking people off. Jordan Love's not going to be doing all, like you said, the little stuff that Aaron Rodgers was doing that was helping Watson. And Watson, dropped like 4 touchdown passes.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong.
He'd have been a Pro Bowler if you would have caught those motherfuckers. Like,
he's talented. He's
he
very, very talented. But can he put it all together with Jordan Love as his quarterback? I just don't know. It remains to be seen. And their defense is aging. And that plays a lot into it. If you have a bad defense with a young quarterback, it makes it all the more worse on that young quarterback because the pressure really is on. You're on the field a lot more. You're playing from behind a lot. So that's one of the things that was an issue with Justin Fields this year was the defense was so bad we were playing catch up the whole game and we never really played with a lead.
And it was hard. And we had such a good run game, and it was hard then it made our offensive line look even worse because by the second half, everyone's pinning their ears back.
Yes, 100%. So Green Bay will be okay. I think they're going to take a hit this year. I think they go, 8-9, somewhere around there.
7-10. I think that's what they'll be.
They won't be horrible, but they won't be good. They'll be right in the middle of the pack. I think the same thing goes with Minnesota. I really think Minnesota goes 8-9. You know what I'm saying?
I don't think so.
I
think the Lions aren't going to be as good as people think. I think the Lions played better with the underdog mantra, but now everyone's gassing them up like, oh, they're good. I don't think they're going to play as good. And I think Minnesota, like I talk a lot of shit about Kirk Cousins, but I think he's adequate. I think they'll win 10 or 11. I truly think the Vikings win the division, and us and the Lions will be duking it out for a wild card spot.
All right, so let me ask you this:
7 wins, 8 wins, maybe.
Let me ask you this quick fire segment. Give me your way too early prediction: offensive rookie of the year, defensive rookie of the year.
Offensive rookie of the year, it's gonna be Bryce Young. He's gonna be getting after it. I just think they're just gonna pass it every play. They're really gonna let him roll with it. I'm glad he got the pick. They picked him because there's no way Dalton starts over him. I think if the Panthers had Dalton at quarterback, they'd fuck around and win 7 games or some stupid shit like that. I think with Bryce Young, they won't. I think Bryce Young will do statistically better than Dalton ever would have done. But again, we were talking about veteran quarterbacks playing smart, doing the right things to win games, not to just go out there and ball out. So I think it'll be Bryce Young on offense. And then on defense, I'm going to say Jack Campbell. I think he's going to have like 150 tackles, make a bunch of plays. He's good. And the Lions play in really wide open games where there's a lot of plays being done. They play quick, they score. There'll be a lot of games where he's going to be able to stack up the stats.
My early offensive rookie of the year is between 2 running backs. I think it's going to be either Bijan or Jahmyr Gibbs. I think if Jahmyr Gibbs stays healthy, he's probably offensive rookie of the year because he's going to get a bulk of the carries in Detroit. I think
he's probably going to catch like 60, 70 balls. Yes. Goff throws back more than anybody. He throws that dump off check.
And David Montgomery is not that kind of back.
No.
So I'm leaning towards Jahmyr Gibbs. I just don't think any wide receivers are going to be the number 1 on their team to be offensive rookie of the year. So I'll take Jahmyr Gibbs. For my defensive player of the year, early prediction, I think it's going to be Devin Witherspoon. He's playing opposite Tariq Woolen. Tariq Woolen was absolute shutdown. I can't see anybody being able to throw against that team effectively. You're going to have 2 really good corners, and they have a good pass rush. And I think being at home in Seattle with the 12th man will be a little bit better for him and that pass defense. But I think Devin Witherspoon, defensive player of the year, or Will Anderson, but I would probably give it to Devin Witherspoon.
I think Will Anderson won't just because he's the only guy they got, so they're going to shut him down. In the NFL, they don't let one guy wreck the game, especially if you're on a shitty team.
Unless you're Aaron Donald.
Yeah, but I mean, like Aaron Donald, they always had other guys around, and it's really hard to stop the guy who's all like beating the double team like that. What are you gonna triple team him?
But yeah, that's all I got for today, man.
All right, that was good. We'll follow it up next week. We're gonna be talking about the draft. What do we got? Fucking 3-4 weeks. We got to get some tickets to camp. We definitely got to go to a training camp game. I'll get a little GoPro or something, and we'll get some content. But I definitely want to do that. Take my son to things like that. Melody's never been as well. But thanks everybody for tuning in again to this one. Like, follow, subscribe, share. Like I said, keep helping us grow. We've been growing a lot faster than I imagined. We're going to grind this out. But like I said, we are doing so much better than I envisioned us doing in the first 6 months of us doing this. Really just makes me regret us not starting this 10 years ago when we should have, like we talked about. Grinds my gears because, like I said, we would have had this huge channel and all you guys then. But have fun, bear down, and we'll see you guys next week. Adios, Tom.
Adios.